Farmingdale High School here for 17 years. Before I did that, though, I was in the medical field. And I knew from the time that I was a teenager that I wanted to do something in the medical field. Of course, like every kid dreams that they're going to be a doctor, but I tried to make mine a reality. So I took an aptitude test when I was in high school to see what careers you would be best suited for. And they gave you a list of 7 careers, and every single one of them was in the medical field. Whether it was a nurse, a doctor, an x-ray tech, something in the medical field. And you know, it really was my first love. So when I went to New York Institute of Technology, I enrolled there, oh God, do I have to tell you? 1973, and I started as a pre-med major with a minor in medical technology. Now, do you guys all know what medical technology is? No. No, okay. How many of you have ever had a blood test, or a urine test, or a throat culture when you went to the doctor? Okay.
I have a blood test or a urine test every summer.
Every summer, yeah, because you have a physical every summer, right?
Yep.
Well, who do you think does those tests? Do you think the doctor does them? Oh, I say nay. No, the doctor does not do those tests. Do you think a nurse does them?
No.
No, but there are people in a hospital or working in a laboratory that are known as medical laboratory technologists, or sometimes for short they just call them MedTechs. And that's their job. Their job is to run all of the blood tests, urine tests, stool tests, as gross as that may sound, tests on your spinal fluid, tests on fluid that may collect in any of your body cavities, tests that are done on fluid that is part of all of your joints, fluid called synovial fluid. I did urine tests. So on all of these particular body fluids. So the types of tests that can be done are, they look for, how many of you have ever had a blood count, or a CBC, a complete blood count, to see whether or not you were anemic or you had an infection? Like a high white blood cell count would be indicative of a bacterial infection. A low white blood cell count would be indicative of a viral infection. So doctors are able to make quicker and better diagnoses if they have the results of these lab tests on the various body fluids. And that was what I did for almost 24 years. Okay, so what did I take when I was in college? Well, I listed, besides the history and the English and the psychology that you had to take, what did I do? There it is. I do this in class too, I lose everything. Okay, some of the classes that I had to take, mostly because I was a pre-med major, was I had to take General Bio 1 and 2. I took General Chemistry 1 and 2. I took Biochemistry. I took the bane of my existence, which was Quantitative Analysis. That is a 6-credit chemistry class. Yeah, that was the closest I ever came to losing it, was in that class. I'd be in there till 11 o'clock at night, and then my experiment wouldn't work. And then I would have to come back the next day and do it again. But I survived, I'm here. Okay, I took Organic Chemistry 1 and 2. I took General Physics, strap in, 1, 2, and 3. I don't know why I had to learn how to build a bomb when I was really trying to save lives and not blow people up into smithereens, but okay. And I had to take algebra and calculus, 1, 2, and 3. Now, I also took lab classes. I took hematology, which is the study of the blood cells. Okay, so hopefully you learned or will learn in bio that there are 3 types of cells that are present in your blood. White blood cells, which help to fight infection. either two ways, by engulfing bacteria or by producing proteins called antibodies that protect you from infection. Red blood cells, which carry oxygen and carbon dioxide back and forth from your cells to your tissues. And platelets, which are involved in blood clotting. They're really not considered cells, they're considered cell fragments, but platelets are involved with blood clotting. So I had to learn about that. I had to learn about pharmacology, which I thought was just fantastic. So you learned all about various kinds of antibiotics, dosages, what all the abbreviations mean. For example, like, I don't know, has anybody ever seen on a prescription, if you even look at your prescription, you see this? 1-GTT-BID. That means nothing to us, right? This looks like some kind of code. It is. It's a secret code between doctors and pharmacists. And what this means is give 1 drop twice a day.
They just write that out in words, though.
Oh, because it takes too long. We have to do shorthand, and it has to be a code. They do not want everybody to know what this stuff means. Then the pharmacist translates that and puts it on the box. But they don't want you to know. So you know how I need a trick for everything. You know, this means drop, GTT. Give it teeny tiny. Give it teeny tiny, that's a drop. So, I mean, I need a trick to remember things. Okay, so when I graduated college, I was kind of at a crossroads in my life, and I made the silly mistake of not going to medical school. I decided I had had it up to here with school. I was totally fried from school, and so I went into medical technology. And I say it's a mistake, but it was also a blessing because I really had the greatest job in the whole world. I loved it. I loved what I did. I loved the people that I worked with. I loved the fact that it was different every single day. I got to see Plasmodium vivax, which is the spirochete that causes malaria in a red blood cell in a urine. I got to see that. We attached a camera. This was before we had all this fancy equipment. We attached a camera and watched it as it invaded the cell. So this person was diagnosed with malaria. Which, you know, everybody knows what malaria is, tropical disease, right? That's cured by quinine. So it was something different every single day. Has anybody ever had a blood transfusion or knows anyone who's had a blood transfusion? Okay, part of a MedTech's job is to set up the blood and make sure that it matches the recipient or the person that's going to receive the blood, their blood type, and to make sure that there's not anything in that blood that's going to clash with what's in the patient's blood. So that was my responsibility too. So for 23 years, I was chemistry supervisor, and then I decided I wanted to work in all the different departments again. So I became what's called a generalist. So I went from hematology, looking at slides of blood, chemistry, testing for blood sugar and things like cholesterol, and everybody knows about your electrolytes. Your electrolytes have to be in balance, otherwise you can have problems with your heart. Your sodium, potassium chloride. That's why you drink all that Gatorade and stuff, right, to replace your electrolytes when you sweat, okay? And I also did blood banking, where I set up for blood transfusions. I did blood types. So that's what I did. So when I started back in 1977, okay, 1977, I started. The pay was about $7.50 an hour, which is that minimum wage now?
That's like what a waitress gets. It's like $8.50 now
Oh,
or something.
they have their, I don't even know what minimum wage is. Okay, so it was, we started at $7.50 an hour, and that was a good That was a good wage back then. That was more than what starting teachers made. Could you imagine? Yeah, it's good to, Yeah, teachers' wages were terrible back then, and we made more money. And then, by the time I left in the year 2000, when I became a teacher, I was making over $20 an hour. Now you have to remember, that was 17 years ago. That wasn't terrible. It really wasn't a terrible salary. Now, my boyfriend has been in MedTech for over 25 years, and he made last year over $80,000 working as a medical laboratory technologist in Good Samaritan Hospital. So, do I think it's a rewarding career? I absolutely do. And I'm telling you, they need people. They need MedTechs. The average age, and this is not a lie, the average age of a MedTech working in a hospital now is 53. Young people are not going into that field because most of them are now going back into nursing. Years ago, nursing, they had a huge shortage because they changed a lot of different things with insurance reimbursement, and they changed a lot of things about the nursing profession. They gave them more patients and more paperwork, so people were really disgusted with it, and they decided not to become nurses. It created a nursing shortage, which then drove up the salaries of the people that became nurses. Well, the same thing is about to happen with MedTechs, because there's a shortage of MedTechs. Okay, and the average age is 53. People are not going into it. Well, who's going to run these blood tests? Yes, there's equipment. Yes, there's automation, but they still need the people to run it and interpret it and report it out. So, MedTech salaries are only going to go up. So, what do you think?
Why did you decide to become a teacher?
Okay, that had nothing to do with the profession and everything to do with where I was working. I was working in a hospital over on Hicksville Road, over by where Island Recreational is. You know that building where the Hagedorn School is next door? That's the hospital that I worked in. It was a real small hospital, 110 beds, and it was the greatest place to work you could ever. We were family. We really were. My best friends are still from there. So, I have such a dry throat, excuse me. I've been talking and talking and talking, and I haven't had a chance to get a water bottle. So, all right, mint. Okay, so I left because, you know how hospitals are buying up other hospitals? Okay, there's very few independent hospitals anymore. They're either part of the North Shore healthcare system, which is now called Northwell. Does everybody know when St. Joseph's is? Mm-hmm. Well, that has changed names about 5 times in the past 20 years. It was Mid-Island, and then it was New Island, and then it was St. Joseph's, and you know, it changes like every other week. Well, Winthrop Hospital in Mineola bought up Massapequa General, where I worked, and it also bought up what's now St. Joseph's. So that's 2 hospitals that are kind of in close proximity with one another. So thinking ahead, I said to myself, they're not going to keep 2 hospitals that close together. So they're probably going to close one. So now I have to gamble and hope I guess right. And our hospital had a better reputation, the hospital I worked in, Massapequa, had a better reputation, and the plant itself, the actual physical building, was in much better shape, but the location of St. Joseph's was better. So I figured that they would probably close Massapequa General, and then I had to think about, did I want to go to another hospital and start over? When you're the new guy, you get all the crappy shifts. You work weekends, you work holidays. I was down to working Monday through Friday, and I told them when I was working, basically. I didn't have to work holidays. If I did, I got all kinds of perks. I would go in and work for 2 hours, and I get paid for the whole day. That's just how it was. So all that was going to be taken away. So I said, well, do I really want to start at the bottom of the barrel again, or here's my opportunity to do something different with my life. So that's what I decided to do. So at the age of 43, I went back to school. So if you ever feel that it's too late, I want you to remember this face. Okay, I am the poster child for being a late bloomer. Okay, I was always the oldest person in every class. The kids used to call me mom, and it was fine. It was a great experience. So at 43, I went back to school. I already had my bachelor's degree, my bachelor's of science in life sciences. So I needed to get my education credits. So I went back to CW Post, and I got my education credits while I was still working at the hospital. I did it at night. And then the hospital closed in August of 2000, and I started working here, September of 2000. I had a big 3 weeks off. And while I was working here, I was teaching bio. I went to CW Post, and I got my master's in earth science education. So I am certified in both earth science and bio, and I can also teach general science. I have that certification as well. So that's the story. So do we have any questions about MedTech? Any interest in it at all?
Crickets.
Come on, guys.
Crickets.
This is just like my class.
Crickets. Crickets.
Any questions?
Crickets. Ooh, a hand.
Yes, Amanda.
How much does a MedTech get paid now?
Like I just said, Ed made $80,000 last year.
80,000? Okay.
He made $80,000. I can find out the starting salary for you at Good Sam, and I can tell Mrs. Bernstein for you,
Okay.
if you'd like. I can find that out. James.
It was something similar.
Who?
It was something similar to that.
Okay, so all you care about is the money?
Yep.
Mm-mm.
Mrs.
Go ahead.
Bernstein.
How long do you have to go to school to become?
Mm.
A MedTech?
Yeah.
Okay, you go to school, well, a technician is 2 years. You can get an associate's degree. I don't advise that at all. You're gonna make diddly squat.
And you wind up just being a phlebotomist.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're gonna wind up just drawing blood for the rest of your life. Okay, you need a bachelor's. Now they have bachelor's degrees in medical technology. You must be licensed by the state. And you have to take an exam called the ASCP exam, the American Society of Clinical Pathologists. Okay, they issue this test. It's a standardized test that all med techs have to take. And you become what's called ASCP certified. And that's always a plus when you pass this test. And it's like almost like the SAT exam where it's divided into ELA and math. Well, you do different sections. You do microbiology, you do chemistry, hematology, and what's immunohematology, that's blood banking. Serology, they have all these different areas that you test for, and then you get your license. Then you get a New York State license that you have to do every 3 years. You have to pay, I believe it's $375, so that you can work for 3 years. That you are a licensed medical laboratory technologist. So the minimum is 4 years. I know people that have their masters in medical technology. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Nowadays, you don't really have much patient contact. Like when I worked in the hospital, I had a lot of patient contact because I had to draw blood and do all kinds of things. And sometimes I even had to start IVs and draw arterial blood. But now they have a team of phlebotomists that do that. So you basically just stay in the lab and you don't have to go up on the floors and deal with people screaming at you or throwing things at you because people don't like to have their blood taken. No, they don't like that at all. So, Yeah, so they bring the specimens down to you. It's highly automated. Everything, all the specimens are on a track, and you load the track, and you load into the machine. You program the computer, and off it goes. And your results come out on a screen, and you have to either okay them or reject them because maybe there's a high assay like cholesterol. Let's say the cholesterol is off the charts. So they might have to dilute that specimen and then rerun it again. So that's basically what it entails. Anybody have any questions? Yes, Maddie.
Do you have to pass your boards to become a MedTech?
It's not a board. You have to pass the ASCP exam. Okay, you're not taking any medical board tests at all. You pass the ASCP exam so you can be ASCP certified, and then you have to take, then you get your license, you apply for your license from New York State. What are we doing with this?
Making water boil at room temperature.
Yes?
When you said like fluid from like the body cavity
Yeah,
and stuff, is that
like it-
around the heart and stuff?
Around the heart and in the chest area.
Checking for.
What?
What are you like looking for?
Well, in some cases it's abnormal
Like just
to have fluid. Like it's definitely abnormal to have fluid around your heart. Okay, it's abnormal to have fluid collecting in your abdominal cavity. So they aspirate it or they take it out using, looks like one of these things, and they take it out and they send it to the lab for analysis. They do what's called a culture on it to see what kind of bacteria are growing. Like when you have your throat culture, like you get that cotton swab in the back of your throat, basically, and then that's it for you. But what you don't realize is that that specimen then goes to a lab, and they have plates, almost, that have sheep's blood on them. It's solidified. It's called an agar. It's almost like a jelly that contains sheep blood. And then they take that Q-tip and they run it along that agar, and then they seal it in a bag. Because the bacteria that causes strep throat, it's called group A beta hemolytic streptococcus aureus, or group A strep. Okay, that's the technical name for it. It's an anaerobic bacteria, so you have to deprive it of oxygen. So they put it in a bag and they vacuum suck out all of the oxygen, and then they put it in a 37 degrees Celsius incubator. Who knows why 37 degrees Celsius?
room temperature.
Cam. What? Come on, Cam.
What?
She gonna smack me.
That's right.
37 degrees
It's
It's
Celsius.
body
not room
temperature.
temperature.
Oh, your body temperature.
That's my problem. That's my problem. Okay, 37 degrees C is normal body temperature. That's why they use 37 degrees C incubator, because it's mimicking your body. And then, if that bacteria grows and lyses, what does lyse mean? Hydrolysis. What is to lyse? Hydrolysis. What does that mean?
Like break down.
Yeah, to break apart with
Water.
water. Okay. Well, if the red blood cells now turn black, that means that those red blood cells burst or lyse, which is what the poison that's produced from the bacteria, from the strep bacteria, does to the cells. That's what makes you so sick.
That's how they check if you have strep.
That's how they check if you have strep. And it's kind of cool. Then how do they figure out what antibiotic to give you? They take a little bit of that strep and they plate it onto what's called a sensitivity plate that has a different kind of agar. And then they put these little paper discs that are soaked in antibiotic on the plate. Suck the air out of the bag again for another 24 hours in the incubator. And then when it comes out, the plate is about this big, and you see all these bacterial colonies, but around the paper discs, can I use one of your balloons as a plate? Okay. So you have A, B, C Okay, those are your paper discs that are your antibiotics. Okay, so let's say that A is amoxicillin, B is clindamycin, and C is erythromycin, just for fun. Okay, so now this bacteria is going to grow around these discs. Like this. So then you would take a ruler and you measure the diameter from here to here, where the bacteria did not grow. What did you say? Can you say that so everybody can hear you, please?
Whichever one is the longest, you pick.
Right. So if you're looking at this picture, which would be the most effective antibiotic? B, because it has the widest diameter around the antibiotic disc. So this is the kind of fun stuff that you do in MedTech. And you get to say, okay, it's sensitive to, first, clindamycin, second, amoxicillin, and last, don't use this, erythromycin. And that's how the doctor knows what to prescribe for you. Do you think he's so smart and he knows it off the top of his head? He's waiting for this. Or she's waiting for this.
Why do doctors
Because
have
women
to-
are doctors too, you know.
why, like, say doctors need like the most schooling and stuff, and they just like give it information to like even
But the important part is knowing how to interpret the information. That's the most important part. Again, my daughter's boyfriend is in medical school now. And he was valedictorian of his class. He is like such a bright kid, and he's like so overwhelmed with all of the things that he has to know. It's a tough ride. You know, it's a tough sell. That was one of the reasons why I decided not to do it. Because you get lazy sometimes, don't you? You're like, oh, God, I can't do another day of this stuff. Right? And when you start, and then they say, okay, I'll work a couple of years and then I'll go back. Yeah, that never happens. Okay? Because once you start earning money, you don't want to go back to poverty again, being a poor student. Well, you are so poor when you are a college student. I remember cutting coupons for this place called Mr. Pip's Fish and Chips. You could get 2 lunches for $5. So my friend and I would clip this coupon, and for $2.50 we could eat lunch.
Don't they have those like meal plan things though?
Yeah, we didn't have that when we were in college. We didn't have that. The food wasn't really all that great. I didn't like our food. Yes,
Did you have to do any type of internship?
I did. I actually interned in Massapequa General Hospital. First they put me in Coney Island General in Brooklyn. Oh God. Oh God. I lasted about 3 days. The amount of gunshot wounds that would come into the emergency room was enough to stop your heart. It was very scary there. That was when Coney Island was bad. It's a lot better. No, it's so much better now because now the ball field is down there and they redid Astroland or whatever they call it now, where the amusement park is, but it used to be a real crap hole. And there was a lot of crime and people were just shot up all the time and I'm like, I'm gonna die here. I cannot do this. So I went back to my professors at school. I was, you need to find me another place.
That's pretty fun.
So they put me, yeah, I know. What were they thinking? So they put me in Massapequa General. And it was really the best thing that ever happened because they liked me, I liked them, so we had a lovely relationship for the next 23 and a half years. They hired me when I was finished with my internship. My internship went from January until May. So it's a 1 semester internship in a hospital setting. And you work hard for free.
Yeah.
But you learn a lot. Well, no, you still have to pay the tuition to school, so it's not free.
You're paying to work.
Yeah, you're paying for it. But you learn a lot. That's called on-the-job training. That's what that's called. That's the best kind of training there is. You know, because what I find between school and real life is that there's often a disconnect. You know, I even see it now with teaching. I have a student that's observing, and what his supervising professor wants you to do and what they tell you doesn't translate to the classroom. So many things that you learn in college, that this is the way you should be doing things, it doesn't work that way when you're in the real world and the doctor is on the phone screaming that he wants his results right away because the patient is dying. So you learn how to do things the hospital way and not the academic way. The academic part is great. It gives you the knowledge you need, the base knowledge you need. The practical application will come when you do your internship. I think every job should have an internship. I really do. I think it's a great thing. So, talk to me. Come on, Amanda.
So, one time, I was driving.
Here we go.
No, because you told me we were Coney Island, but then I raised my hand, but then you didn't call me, so I was like, oh, she's just going to keep talking, so I put my hand down.
Of course I'm
And
gonna.
then, so then we were driving through, I don't know if it was Brooklyn or Queens, I was kind of like half asleep, but okay, so we're driving, and there's like to the car next to us, there was this black Lexus without a license plate, and like it was like 10 at night, and like it didn't have like any of its like lights on or anything, so then we were like passing the car, and like I looked to the right, and then the guy like in the front seat, he had like a gray sweater on, he had like hood up, he was just like driving, and I was like, oh my gosh.
He was incognito.
It was so scary.
He was-
I thought
he
you
was-
like pull a gun.
He was incognito. But you know, not every state requires you, not every state requires you to have 2 license plates. So it may have looked to you like you didn't have a license
it
plate.
had like a paper like behind the like license plate thing. It said Lexus. And you know how like when you go.
Yeah, but so did you see the front or the back of the car?
I saw both.
So there was only one plate or
There's no
plate?
plates.
Ooh.
You probably just got it.
They were up to, no, they have to
Oh,
give you,
we're
they have to give you a temporary license
We're
plate.
stolen.
Okay, do we have anything to talk about MedTech?
Sorry, no.
This one time I was in Coney Island.
Yes, no.
So does it depend on if you like are just starting at the job or if you've been there for a while, what your hours will be?
Yeah, usually the new people get the cruddy hours. But that's normal. That's almost in any job, unless it's, anything that's shift work, the new people always get the cruddy job. It took me 4 years to get the job that I want. It's kind of called paying your dues. You know, you have to go through that. It's almost like indoctrination by fire. You have to go through that, and then as people leave or they transfer or something, then, you know, you can move up into the position that you want. It's rare to just walk into a day job right away. It's extremely rare, because everybody wants to go on the day shift. Like my boyfriend Ed now, he worked the midnight shift for 27 years. Well, it was his choice. It was his choice. And now he wants to go on the day shift. He got a day position a year ago, but they have to train his replacement. And that replacement now has to be trained, and they have to be sure that this replacement can do the job. So now Ed is supposed to go on days April or May, almost 13 months after he originally got the job. Now, in other places, it doesn't take that long. Good Sam is a little ridiculous about things. They really are. It doesn't take that long. But when I first started, I worked the 11 to 7 shift, and I worked weekends. And then I went to 3 to 11, and I didn't work weekends. It was just Monday through Friday, 3 to 11. And then after a few years, I finally got the day shift. I got the chemistry supervisor position, and I worked 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Now, there's a lot of different shifts in a hospital. It's 5 to 1, 6 to 2, 7 to 3, 8 to 4. Some of them are even 9 to 5. And that's just day shift. So, well, thank you for letting me talk to you.